There comes a moment when you look at your goals, your results, and your current life, and quietly ask yourself, why am I not where I want to be? You work, you hustle, you try to think positive, but something still holds you back. The truth is, the biggest battles are never outside. They happen in your thoughts, your beliefs, and the identity you carry in your mind. What's up, book lovers? Welcome to BookZeal. Today, we're breaking down one of the most legendary success books ever written, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This book is built on 8 powerful principles that have transformed millions of lives. And in this audiobook summary, we're going to cover all 8 of them, step by step, in a way that you can actually apply. You'll learn how a burning inner drive takes shape, how the mind can be trained, how invisible thoughts turn into visible wealth, how your plans gain momentum, and how unseen forces inside you shape your destiny. But stay with me till the end, because some parts are more crucial than others. If you skip those core sections, the chain will break, and the transformation won't happen. If you truly absorb what you're about to hear, something in your mindset, your confidence, and your future can shift forever. So let's get started. Chapter 1, Desire. People don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they accept a life they never asked for. That silent, uncomfortable truth sits in the back of the mind, tapping your shoulder at night. The life you want and the life you live are not the same, and the distance between the two is created by one thing: a weak desire. Desire is not a wish, not a hope, not a fantasy. Desire is a demand, a decision, a point of no return. Napoleon Hill said that every great achievement begins with a burning obsession, and he was right. Nothing in your life will change until you decide that it must. Picture a person standing at a train station. Trains are arriving and leaving, each one going to a different destination. Most people don't choose. They stand frozen, watching life move without them, convincing themselves that someday they will get on board. But a burning desire is different. It forces you onto the train. It makes you move. It refuses to let you stay where you are. When someone truly wants something, nothing can stop them. When they only kind of want it, everything can. Desire changes how you see the world. When Henry Ford was obsessed with building the V8 engine, despite every engineer saying it was impossible, he did not accept their conclusion. He told them to keep working, month after month, year after year, until it became real. Most people would have stopped, but Ford didn't want a result. He needed it. The world eventually bends to the person who refuses to quit. Everyone says they want success, but there is a moment in life when you have to decide what you are willing to walk away from. Growth demands sacrifice. You cannot hold on to your excuses and hold on to your dream at the same time. You cannot cling to who you were and become who you are meant to be. A weak desire wants comfort. A burning desire wants change. There is a reason some people rise while others remain where they started. The ones who rise choose their desires with clarity. They sit with their thoughts long enough to name what they want, completely and unapologetically. They stop settling for the bare minimum. They stop living on leftover dreams. They stop pretending that maybe is enough, because maybe kills more dreams than failure ever has. Desire comes to life the moment you commit, not when you fantasize, not when you talk about it, not when you post about it. Commitment transforms desire into a force that rewrites your identity. It changes your habits, your circle, your priorities, your thinking. You start acting like the person you intend to become. And day by day, life begins to shift. There is one more brutal truth. If you don't choose your desire, the world will choose for you. And the world usually chooses small. That is why this chapter comes first. Until the desire is clear, nothing else in the book works. But once it is clear, everything else starts to align. Chapter 2, Faith. Some people break not because life is cruel, but because they lose the one thing they needed most, the belief that tomorrow could be different from today. Faith is the oxygen of desire. Without it, your dream suffocates, no matter how badly you want it. Napoleon Hill was obsessed with this idea. He said that faith is a state of mind that you create, strengthen, and feed through repetition, emotion, and imagination. It is not a gift. It is a skill, and the people who learn it become unstoppable. There is a moment every successful person faces when logic says give up, when results say you're wasting your time, and when the world says be realistic. Faith is the voice that answers back, not yet, I'm not done. When Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper because his editor said he lacked creativity, he didn't crumble. He held a private belief that no one could see. Before Disneyland ever existed in the real world, it existed in his mind with total certainty. That is the strange power of faith. It lets you see the ending before the story even begins. Doubt is the quiet thief that steals years from people. You know those nights where your brain won't stop talking, listing every reason why things won't work out, replaying mistakes, reminding you of who you used to be. Doubt is persuasive. It likes to pretend it's protecting you, but faith is rebellion. It refuses to bow to uncertainty. It chooses possibility over fear, even when fear feels louder. The problem is that most people only believe in what they can touch. They want proof before they commit. But faith works in reverse. You commit first, and the proof shows up later. That is what makes faith uncomfortable. It demands that you walk into the dark before you see the light. And that is where most people turn back. Your mind listens to you. If you repeatedly speak failure, your mind will search for reasons to prove you right. If you repeatedly speak possibility, your mind will search for paths you couldn't see before. Neuroscientists at Harvard spent years studying how belief shapes behavior, and the results were staggering. When people believe something deeply, their brain literally rewires to help them pursue it. Their body follows their thoughts. Their decisions follow their expectations. Faith is not magic. It is psychology. The belief becomes a blueprint, and the blueprint becomes an action plan. But there is a darker side to this. If you feed your mind fear, it will build you a life of fear. If you feed it doubt, it will build you a cage. If you feed it faith, it will build you a door. The mind does not choose. You choose for it. There is a simple line that cuts to the heart. You will never rise above the story you believe about yourself. Faith is the moment you change that story. The moment you stop treating yourself as a question and start treating yourself as an answer. It doesn't matter where you started. It matters what you decide to believe now. Once your desire becomes your obsession, faith becomes your engine. And when the two work together, something in your life begins to shift. Doors appear, people appear, answers appear, not by luck but by direction. The mind starts working for you instead of against you. Chapter 3, Autosuggestion. There comes a point in life when you realize your biggest enemy was never the world outside. It was the voice inside your head that kept repeating the same tired story about who you are and what you're allowed to become. Autosuggestion is the art of rewriting that voice. Napoleon Hill believed that your mind becomes whatever you feed it, and most people are starving themselves of possibility without even knowing it. They repeat their fears, they repeat their limits, they repeat their failures, and then they live inside the same loop for years. The mind is a recorder that never stops playing. If the soundtrack is negative, the life becomes negative. If the soundtrack is powerful, the life becomes powerful. But here's the wild part. The mind does not care whether a thought is true. It only cares whether it is repeated. That is why autosuggestion works. Whatever you emotionally repeat, your subconscious accepts as a command. Say something long enough, and you stop questioning it. You start becoming it. Think of a person who looks in the mirror every morning and whispers, "I'm not enough." They don't say it out loud, but they think it again and again. The brain absorbs it. Then it begins designing a life that matches the lie. Opportunities get filtered out. Confidence dies. Risks feel terrifying. The world shrinks. But change the message and life expands with it. It's like updating the operating system of the mind. Same body, same past. New programming. History is filled with people who used repetition to reshape their fate. Muhammad Ali did not become a legend by accident. Long before he was a champion, he drilled one line into his identity: I am the greatest. He didn't wait for the title. He spoke it until his mind believed it, and once his mind believed it, the world followed. Autosuggestion is not about empty affirmations. It is about emotional repetition that carries conviction. The challenge is that the human mind leans towards self-doubt by default. It remembers embarrassment more than victory. It remembers rejection more than support. Autosuggestion interrupts that pattern. It trains the brain to look forward instead of backward. It reminds you who you want to be until your actions begin to align. But here is the trap most people fall into. They try to change their life with logic, not emotion. The subconscious does not respond to logic. It responds to feeling. If you repeat words without emotion, nothing changes. If you repeat them with hunger, with desire, with a sense of inevitability, the mind rewires itself faster than you think. Even Harvard research shows that emotional reinforcement strengthens neural pathways at a dramatically higher rate, meaning you literally become what you emotionally practice. Autosuggestion is the moment you stop letting old memories dictate your future. It is the moment you stop surrendering to the voice that tells you to stay small. It is when you look at your reflection and say, I am becoming someone I've never been before. And you repeat it until the voice in your head agrees. Change starts with desire. It accelerates with faith. But it becomes permanent through repetition. The subconscious mind obeys the loudest voice in your life. From this point forward, that voice must be yours. Chapter 4: Specialized Knowledge. The world doesn't reward the person who knows everything. It rewards the person who knows one thing so well that others cannot ignore them. General knowledge creates conversation. Specialized knowledge creates transformation. That is the idea Napoleon Hill drove into this chapter. You don't get paid for being busy. You get paid for being valuable. And value is created through depth, not breadth. Picture two people standing at the edge of the ocean. One skims the surface, collecting random shells with no direction. The other dives deep, searching for pearls. Both are in the same water, both are in the same world, but only one comes up with something rare. That is the difference between scattered knowledge and specialized knowledge. One keeps you average, the other makes you unforgettable. Society praises the myth of being well-rounded, but look closely at the people who changed history. They were not well-rounded. They were laser-focused. Steve Jobs wasn't trying to master 50 subjects. He mastered one intersection: technology and design. Nikola Tesla didn't chase 100 skills. He chased electricity with an obsession. A person with limited knowledge but absolute depth will outperform a person with unlimited knowledge and zero direction every single time. Most people never rise because they avoid depth. Depth is uncomfortable. Depth demands patience. Depth requires you to choose. And choosing means letting go of distractions that make you feel productive but change nothing. Someone can scroll through facts all day, watch motivational videos all week, and read book after book and still remain stuck because knowledge is useless until it becomes a skill. Specialized knowledge turns information into power. There is a moment in every journey where you must decide who you are becoming, not what you're curious about, not what you kinda like, but what you are willing to go all in on. The person who commits to mastery becomes rare, and the rare are always in demand. People often say there's too much competition, but competition exists only at the surface level. At the top, in mastery, there is space, there is respect, there is demand. When you specialize, you stop knocking on doors. Doors start opening for you. And here's the twist: specialized knowledge doesn't mean knowing more. It means knowing what matters. It means filtering instead of collecting. It means questioning instead of memorizing. It means learning with purpose instead of learning for entertainment. When you focus deeply on one area, your mind sharpens. Your confidence rises. Your identity evolves. You start seeing connections and opportunities that others can't see because your brain is no longer scattered. It is targeted. But specialized knowledge becomes powerful only when it's applied. Hill warned that unused knowledge is the same as having none at all. The world is full of silent geniuses who never acted. Action is the bridge that turns knowledge into results. At some point, you must stop preparing and start building. The truth is simple. You were not born to be a general copy of everyone. You were built to master something, and the moment you choose your lane and dive deep, your life begins to change direction. Desire lit the fire. Faith kept it alive. Auto-suggestion shaped your belief. Now, specialized knowledge gives that belief a weapon. Chapter 5. Imagination. There is a silent moment in every life when reality feels too small for the size of your dreams. That moment is not a dead end. It is an invitation. Imagination is where the future is built long before the world sees it. Napoleon Hill believed that imagination is the workshop of the mind, the place where desire takes form, where faith finds direction, and where every breakthrough begins as nothing more than a thought that refused to die. Imagination is the human superpower we slowly abandon as we grow older. As kids, we could turn a hallway into a racetrack, a couch into a mountain, a cardboard box into a spaceship. Then life happened. Rules, comparison, criticism, practicality. Slowly, imagination was replaced by limitation. But the people who shaped the world never stopped imagining. They never surrendered that inner blueprint. Before airplanes existed, the Wright brothers imagined flying. Before the smartphone existed, Steve Jobs imagined a device that could place the world in your pocket. Before electric cars became normal, Elon Musk imagined a world that ran on a different kind of engine. The future belongs to those who imagine instead of obey. There is a strange truth most people never understand. Reality is delayed imagination. Whatever you have today, you imagined at some point, whether consciously or unconsciously. You imagined your limits, your confidence, your lifestyle, your outcomes. The imagination you practiced became the life you live, which means imagination is not a game. It is a responsibility. If you imagine small, you live small. If you imagine boldly, the world eventually expands to match it. But imagination is not daydreaming. It is not escapism. It is vision. Vision with intention, vision with emotion, vision that turns into direction. That is why Hill wrote that imagination must be used on purpose, not by accident. There are two types: synthetic imagination, which rearranges old ideas, and creative imagination, which delivers new ones from what feels like the unknown. Most people never reach the second because they never even train the first. Imagination weakens from neglect. It strengthens through use. Think about how many ideas have visited your mind over the years. Business ideas, career ideas, art ideas, inventions, projects, changes, improvements, and how many of them died because you dismissed them too early, or because you told yourself you weren't ready, or because someone else laughed at you. Imagination does not get destroyed by the world. It gets destroyed by your permission. But the moment you start respecting your ideas again, something changes internally. You stop waiting for permission. You start experimenting. You begin to shape life instead of reacting to it. The great irony is that imagination feels risky, but staying the same is far riskier. The world keeps evolving. Technology changes. Markets change. People change. Only those who imagine can adapt. Imagination gives you options. It gives you flexibility. It gives you a way out, a way forward, a way up. One idea at the right time can completely rewrite a life. It can erase years of struggle. It can open doors that logic could never predict. That is why your imagination must be guarded, fed, and used. Desire gives you a target. Faith gives you certainty. Auto-suggestion programs your belief. Specialized knowledge sharpens your mind. But imagination hands you the blueprint. It is the bridge between who you are and who you could become. Once you learn to imagine without limits, the world can never put you back in a box again. Chapter 6. Organized planning. Dreams collapse not because they are impossible, but because they are unstructured. A goal without a plan is spiritual caffeine. It excites you for a moment, then drops you back into the same life. Napoleon Hill said that once imagination has given birth to a vision, organized planning must raise it into reality. Without a blueprint, even the greatest dream will decay. With a blueprint, even an ordinary person can build something extraordinary. Planning is not about controlling the future. It is about preparing for it. It's the shift from hope to strategy, from emotion to execution. People love inspiration but avoid structure, which is why they stay in the same cycle year after year. Inspiration is a spark. Planning is construction. One lights the fire, the other builds the foundation. Think about someone trying to climb a mountain. If they just stare at the peak and hype themselves up, nothing happens. But if they map the trail, gather the right tools, calculate the route and prepare for the weather, the same mountain becomes possible. Planning does not shrink the dream. It breaks it into steps the mind can believe and the body can follow. He'll also emphasize something we rarely admit. You can't win alone. Even the strongest vision needs support. Every great achievement is a network of people, timing, skill, coordination, and shared effort. Thomas Edison had a team. So did the Wright brothers. So did every entrepreneur, creator, scientist, or leader who changed the world. You don't need the whole world to believe in you. You just need a few key people who can multiply your strength. That is organized planning, not just what you will do, but who will help you do it. And yet there is a harsh truth buried inside this chapter. Most people never build a plan because planning forces honesty. The moment you write a plan, you confront your excuses. You see where you're wasting time, where your habits don't match your goals, where your actions contradict your dreams. Planning reveals whether you're serious or just romanticizing your ambition. It exposes the gap between desire and discipline. A real plan has direction, flexibility, and measurable steps. It anticipates setbacks instead of collapsing when they arrive. It leaves space for adjustment because life will always test you. A plan is not a prison, it is a compass. It keeps your mind focused when motivation dies, and motivation will die. That's why planning matters. There will be days when progress feels invisible, when nothing seems to work, when doubt tries to negotiate with you. Organized planning protects you from those days. It reminds you of the mission. It gives you a next step even when you feel stuck. It keeps you moving, and movement is everything. Progress is not always loud. Sometimes it's just the quiet consistency of following a plan you no longer debate. Desire gave you the fire. Faith gave you certainty. Auto-suggestion reshaped the voice within. Specialized knowledge gave you precision. Imagination gave you the vision. But organized planning turns that vision into a roadmap. It transforms someday into step 1, step 2, step 3. And once the path is clear, persistence becomes your fuel. Chapter 7. Persistence. There is a breaking point in every journey where talent is no longer enough, motivation is no longer enough, and even belief feels too heavy to carry. That is the moment where most people walk away, not because they lacked desire, but because they lacked endurance. Napoleon Hill called persistence the iron quality of success. It is the quiet force that separates those who almost made it from those who refused to leave the arena. Persistence is not dramatic. Persistence is not inspirational. Persistence is repetition on the days you feel empty. There is a brutal truth people avoid. The dream you want will take longer than you wish, cost more than you expect, and demand more than you planned. That gap between expectation and reality is where persistence is born. Everyone loves the beginning. Everyone loves imagining the ending. But persistence lives in the middle, where progress is slow, applause is absent, and you wake up questioning whether any of this is even worth it. The ones who rise are the ones who stay. History keeps repeating the same pattern. Thomas Edison failed more than 1,000 times on one invention. J.K. Rowling faced rejection after rejection before a single publisher took a chance on her. Michael Jordan missed more game-winning shots than most players will ever take. None of them are remembered for the setbacks. They are remembered for the refusal to surrender. Persistence turns failure into training, pain into data, setback into fuel. But the danger isn't failure. The real danger is emotional fatigue. Goals rarely collapse in a dramatic moment. They fade quietly. One skipped habit, one delayed step, one compromise, then another, then another. Eventually you stop fighting and you call it timing or fate, or maybe it just wasn't meant for me. That is how dreams die, through slow surrender. Persistence is the decision to refuse that slow death. There is an invisible law in life. Resistance always shows up right before the breakthrough. When the mind is exhausted, when the path feels pointless, when nothing is moving, that is often the final test. Not a test of skill, a test of endurance. If you push there, reality bends. If you break there, you go back to the life you were trying to escape. Persistence is the price you pay for not returning to who you used to be. But persistence is not stubbornness. It is strategy plus endurance. It is adjusting the approach without abandoning the mission. It is learning from every setback instead of repeating it. A persistent person is not a robot. They feel frustration. They feel fear. They feel doubt like everyone else. The difference is they keep moving. Even slow steps count. Even ugly effort counts. Success is not a straight line. It is a fight against your weaker self, round after round, until the weaker self stops getting back up. Most people think the question is, how badly do you want it? But that's only half the truth. The real question is, how long are you willing to be uncomfortable for it? Comfort is the enemy of persistence. The moment you choose comfort, you choose average. The moment you choose persistence, you choose growth. Every chapter until now has built the mindset. But persistence is the moment you prove it. Desire lit the spark. Faith held the vision. Auto-suggestion shaped the voice within. Specialized knowledge gave you direction. Imagination gave you the blueprint. Planning gave you the roadmap. Persistence keeps you on the road when the journey stops being fun. And when persistence becomes your identity, the subconscious mind becomes your greatest ally. Chapter 8. The Subconscious Mind. Your subconscious mind is the quiet architect of your life. It doesn't argue, it doesn't negotiate, and it doesn't care about excuses. It simply builds the reality you feed it. Everything you've desired, imagined, planned, or persisted toward eventually passes through this unseen powerhouse. Napoleon Hill described it as the connecting link between thought and reality. The silent engine that turns belief into action and desire into tangible results. What most people don't realize is that it obeys your dominant emotions and thoughts more than your logic or reasoning. Think about it. How many times have you wanted something with all your heart, only to sabotage it without noticing? The subconscious doesn't differentiate between fear and faith, between hope and doubt. It acts on what you repeat, what you truly feel, and what you program it to accept as real. That's why autosuggestion, imagination, faith, and persistence are not just steps. They are instructions for your subconscious mind. Each one primes it, shapes it, and trains it to work for you instead of against you. Imagine a sculptor standing before a block of marble. Every tap of the chisel is deliberate. Every strike moves closer to the vision locked inside his mind. The subconscious is like that sculptor, but it sculpts silently, constantly, and tirelessly. When you feed it desire with emotion, reinforce it with faith, and organize it through planning and persistence, it begins crafting the life you've imagined. It finds solutions you cannot see consciously. It opens doors, attracts people, and uncovers opportunities you never expected. But here's the twist. Your subconscious also obeys your fears, your doubts, and your limitations. Every negative thought, every anxious what if, every repeated I can't, quietly programs it to keep you trapped. That's why self-awareness is critical. To harness the power of your subconscious, you must consciously decide which thoughts and emotions dominate your inner dialogue. Replace worry with curiosity, hesitation with action, and fear with determination. The moment you do, your subconscious shifts from silent saboteur to relentless ally. Your life is a reflection of what your subconscious has accepted as truth. It doesn't care about excuses, timing, or fairness. It simply works with what you give it. Desire lit the fire. Faith made you believe it could be real. Autosuggestion trained the voice in your head. Specialized knowledge gave you precision. Imagination designed the possibilities. Organized planning drew the roadmap. Persistence kept you on it. Now, the subconscious mind is the engine that accelerates all of it, transforming invisible thoughts into unstoppable results. The hardest part is trusting the process. You won't always see immediate results. You won't always feel progress. But the subconscious doesn't need your permission to act. It just needs consistency. Feed it courage. Feed it belief. Feed it vision. Let it work silently in the background while you continue taking steps forward. And when you finally notice the change, when doors you never imagined swing open, when opportunities appear as if by magic, remember, it was never magic. It was you training your mind, shaping your thoughts, and commanding your life from the inside out. If this resonates with you, take a moment right now. Commit to one thought, one belief, one desire you will feed your subconscious today. Comment below what that is. Hit like if you feel your mind starting to shift. Share this with someone who needs to hear that change begins inside. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, because the journey of mastering your mind and your life is just beginning, and we'll take every step forward together.